I'm Lisa Harris, and I was president twice in 2005 and again in 2011. My first presidency in 2005, I don't even think we had the internet. I mean, of course we did, but we were so paper and, nothing was electronic, so it was a very different world that way. And in 2011, it progressed, but it wasn't still. We were working out of binders and passing things on. I think the auxiliary is really sort of the same. It really doesn't change because the people who are members are, do the same thing. We love the club. We love giving back, youth sailing. There's always that theme. My fondest memory is the friendships, I have to say, both. That's the main thing. That's the fondest. I actually didn't want to be president. I wasn't against it, but that's not why I got on the auxiliary. I got on to meet new people and to have fun and to help with the parties and raise money. But the longer I stayed on, the more obvious it was that I was going up the ladder. And it was great. I'm glad I did. The first thing I did with the auxiliary, I saw it in the bulletin that you could sign up and help decorate the club for Christmas. And I said, okay, I'm going to do that. And I did. And the rest is history. I think the club is everyone's home away from home. We spend an awful lot of time here. Kids grow up here, learn to sail. It's an extension of our homes. So to be able to come to the club by myself is an important part of what the club means to me, is that I don't have to call friends or make sure people are here. I can just come. It's kind of like Cheers, that TV show, a little bit, but you know people, and the staff are friendly, and you can have, something to eat by yourself if you want to. So it's very special. Well, first of all, the fashion shows were happening before I got on the auxiliary, so it was an established event. The first one I did was with Wilkes Bashford, who is a haberdasher in the city and a good friend of mine. And he said he would do it as long as he could have his own models. I said, okay, great. And have a trio playing, okay. And, a couple of other little things, but Wilkes, knew how fashion shows worked, and he was just amazing. And I didn't really do that much except for, spread the word that he was coming with his models. The second one I did with Wilkes, the same thing. He's just, really a consummate professional. He had the men at the end in the grand finale take off their shirts. And you should have heard this place. It just... standing ovation. The women were really happy with that, so it was memorable. I was a little worried, actually. Well, I also had co-chairs. So with Wilkes fashion show, I had Elizabeth Merrill was my co-chair, and then the second time I did it, Maureen Herr was my co-chair. So I didn't do these, just on my own. I happened to know Wilkes Bashford, but other than that, I had their help a lot. Maureen and I also did a fashion show with Polo, and we used, our husbands were models, and it was all club member models, and that was a great show too. Dream Boats was to get the women out on the water, and that was the original concept, and it was pretty exciting. We would go out every Wednesday in October and go on some fantastic boats. So I loved that. I loved the opportunity to sail. And I sailed with some pretty fantastic women. Nancy Rogers in particular is, she could feel the water and how she maneuvered that boat. It's pretty amazing. I hope the auxiliary goes on in the same way that it's been going on. I really don't have any changes that I'd like to see. I think the one thing that is different about the auxiliary is that a lot of the members of the auxiliary are actually the members of the club. And so that has shifted, and that's a great shift. Again, on these scarves, I happened to know the designer and I brought her in, but I had a committee and I did not do these on my own. And, we call this the Kim Lynch scarf. This is, we have this around the club. So we used elements from the club in all of the scarves. But this was when her husband Ray was the Commodore. And this is the same scarf. It's just a different colorway. So those two are Kim Lynch's. This is Lori Fromm's when Andy Fromm was the Commodore. And Lori was instrumental in this. She happened to bring an Hermes scarf and said, "Can we use this as..." And the designer said, "Absolutely." So this is kind of exciting that we kind of used a famous scarf as our template. This is Leslie Ruland's scarf. This is beautiful. Leslie said when we started on this committee, she said, "I'm not really very creative, but I do have some ideas." And I said, "Oh, yes, you do. Fantastic." And she said, "What if we had a secret message in the flags?" And I said, "That is brilliant." She says, "Sail like a girl." And I'm like, okay. So that's what these say, is sail like a girl. The same thing. It's pretty fantastic.